Hello, listeners. I'm Timstradamus, and welcome to Hump Day. And joining me, as always, is my talented and beautiful co-hostess, Voyse.
Good morning, Timstradamus, and welcome to all those goblins and ghouls out there. I hope that you have a beautiful day, and remember not to get upset if you don't always get what you want.
Did you say what you want?
Yeah.
For any new listeners, Voyse and I enjoy reading and talking about stories from the internet that are interesting, funny, and dramatic. Because of our love of stories, we've come together and created this channel to share with you those experiences.
And hopefully give you some food for thought.
So, Voyse, what has been brewed today? If.
What just happened?
I don't know.
So I crafted for you today a black tea that has ginger, cardamom, cloves, and cinnamon. So I essentially try to make a chai.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah?
That's crazy.
I'm starting to get really good with my temperatures and my measurements.
That's a 5 out of 5. Easily
Yes.
fall in a cup.
It is, isn't it? Oh, I love it. Well, let's go ahead and delve right into these stories while you enjoy your morning cup of brew. And for any listeners wanting to follow along, all story links are in the description below. For our first story, am I the a-hole for laying into my husband because his female coworker that's half his age calls him daddy?
Yes, let's get into Hump Day.
This past weekend, there was a 20-year anniversary party for the company my husband works for. My hubs, male 49, and I, his wife, female 43, attended. That's where I met. We will call her Easy Breeze, female 26. She proclaimed that she had learned a lot from my husband on the job since 2017, and that she often refers to him as her father figure, only she didn't say it that way to me. She said, he's my daddy at work. They are friends on Facebook, and from what I can gather, she has only friended my husband from work since 2017. Since he and I share almost all of our friends, including his work friends. Am I the a-hole for thinking this is inappropriate behavior? He literally said that the term daddy in this case was used as a term of endearment. Either I am overreacting, my husband is cheating, or he's an absolute idiot. To be fair, she did seem genuinely protective of my feelings, but side chick-like, even if there isn't anything going on. And she is single, which is not a mark against her. I feel like this is my husband's fault more than anything, and that's why I laid into him so hard. Just utter disappointment. Am I the a-hole?
Daddy chill.
I love that video.
So let's unpack this and go on a journey together.
Into whatever this is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to be really cool. Like sometimes you read these things and some of the commenters do this, and it's my turn. So we're at this work event and checks notes. She calls him daddy. I finally did it. In front of his wife. ROP.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, you're allowed to have the relationships you want, but that one is inappropriate. She said she did a little bit of internet sleuthing and found out that this girl at work is only Facebook friends with her husband.
Just her husband.
Out of everyone there. Now, I guess she tries to explain the whole thing away by telling ROP that he's been a workplace daddy for her for over, I guess, 5 years now. I mean, even ROP saying she's getting some inappropriate vibes off of it. Normally, when your intuition tells you something, normally it's right and you should definitely listen to it. No one in your workplace should be calling you daddy, and it goes to show you what kind of relationship that her husband's been fostering with the girl at work. Actually, what did she name her? Easy Breeze?
Easy Breeze.
Okay. You are definitely not the a-hole for having concerns, because I think that would raise a red flag for just about everyone. So, yeah, in my opinion, OP, you're not the a-hole.
Well, the consensus is that our OP's not the a-hole. She's suspicious, and rightfully so. This is, in my opinion, extremely inappropriate. You have to be aware of whatever situation you're in. And, this gave me a little bit of skeevy vibes. Now, let me go ahead and actually put down, I think one of the reasons why our OP is on the forum based on what I can read through her comments is the way that she brought up her concerns to her husband made it seem like he was kind of blowing it off. And I think she wanted to go ahead and actually get more outside perspective to make sure she wasn't going to make a rash decision, which is very wise because sometimes you need to be pulled away from a situation. It really could have been innocent, but there are a lot of individuals that say this is not okay. If it's something that not even you call your husband, that's generally something that's of a more sexualized terminology, especially when it comes to certain individuals.
Do they say how old the girl is? Because I also understand the younger generation walks around calling everyone daddy now. So I don't know if it's just maybe even we might be overreacting to it.
She's 26.
No, we're not overreacting. You shouldn't be calling someone in the workplace daddy at 26. All right. Well, that open and shut case right there, it's a little inappropriate. And yeah, she does have every right to.
And he's 49. Now, there were some individuals that say, you know what? If you really want, you can actually bring this up to their HR and tell them that this you feel is inappropriate for having be done in the workplace. Maybe their HR should be aware that while you can have more casual atmospheres, it should still be respectful and professional.
That would be an interesting reach for a partner to do to someone else.
I think it would be too. I have to wonder how their relationship is. She says that they've been together for 9 years, but have only been married for 3.
So wait, that's kind of interesting. I guess they would have started that workplace relationship, well, at least that kind of workplace relationship, before they got married.
Correct.
Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know about overreaching and going to like their HR, but it definitely is something you need to have a conversation with your husband about and set the expectations for what is appropriate and what you're comfortable with, especially when it comes to walking into that situation at a work function.
Yes, I definitely agree with that as well. Well, let's go ahead and go into our next story and see what's happening with this college fund. Am I the a-hole for donating my deceased daughter's college fund to a charity instead of giving it to my estranged son? I, 48 male, lost my daughter, 21 female, last year to a rare medical condition. She was in college, and we had saved up a substantial amount for her studies. The fund was around $120,000 left. My wife passed away 5 years ago, so it's just been the two of us for a while. My son, 24 male, and I have had a strained relationship for the past 6 years. He got into drugs, joined a problematic crowd, and committed several felonies. When he turned 18, after multiple attempts to help him, I had to kick him out of the house. It was the hardest decision I've ever made. Recently, he's cleaned up his act, or so he says. He's been off drugs for a year, has a job, and wants to go to college. He reached out to me, asking if he could use his sister's college fund. However, my daughter in her last days expressed a desire for the money to go to a specific charity that supports research into her condition. It was her wish, and I decided to honor it. I donated the entire fund to that charity 2 weeks ago. When I informed my son of this decision, he was livid. He claims that I've chosen a dead daughter over him and that I never cared about him at all. My relatives are divided. Some say I did the right thing honoring my daughter's last wish, while others believe I should have given my son a second chance. I'm tormented. Am I the a-hole?
What a severe story. Let's walk through this one because there is a lot of sad that happens in our OP's life. I am so sorry that you lost your daughter. She was very young, 21.
Just a baby.
I can't imagine.
That's truly the start of you enjoying the journey of your life.
It's very sad. And on top of that, I think he says he lost his wife 5 years prior.
Correct.
That's when you hear these type of stories that you get reminded of how fortunate and lucky and thankful you should be for what you have. They saved up a decent amount of money for her education. Now, his daughter's wish was that that education fund be donated to help the research towards what she had succumbed to. How fantastic is that of his daughter to have done? On her way out, try to make it a little easier for the people who have to come after her. So on to the next part of the story. He has a son that I guess got addicted to drugs and ran with the wrong crowd and chose the path that he wanted to be on. He says at 18 he had to kick him out because with all the help that they tried to give him, it just wasn't working. That's a whole other topic on its own, but everyone can choose the path they walk, especially when you're talking about parents and having other kids in the home and what you can deal with. Now I think his son is 24 in this story. He comes back into the picture after his sister's passed away. And what I'm failing to understand is, how would our son in this situation know anything about a education fund that was set aside for his sister? That's an odd thing to have requested and to have known about, especially if he's been MIA for however long he has been. I've got to assume it was 18 to 24, and all of a sudden he's just back after his sister passed. It sounds like he has zero empathy for what just happened. That's how I'm reading the story. I am happy that it sounds like his son's getting his life together now. Does that mean you break a promise that you made to your daughter? I don't think so. The thing that strikes me probably the hardest is the son's response to ROP, in that he says, "You're picking your dead daughter over me." How disgusting is that to have said to him? And so in my opinion, in this situation, ROP is not the a-hole.
So the consensus? ROP is not the a-hole. In fact, there were a lot of individuals that gave their condolences. So let me go ahead and get right into the meat of this. Redditors were willing to go ahead and provide their experiences when it comes to family members that they've had to deal with their addictions. For them, it's not just as easy as kicking the bucket and getting clean sometimes. There's a lot of going right back into the addiction and how it starts tearing at the family at the seams. If ROP says that he's tried and it got so bad that he literally had to become estranged from his son because of everything that his son decided to do, something such as taking that money and paying for his college, a lot of people were very upfront and said, family members have tried this kind of stuff before, and all that they've had to do is withdraw before the classes start. And that refund check never goes back to the person who originally funds it. It goes back to the student. He could just as easily have you pay for his semester, he withdraw from that semester just for him to get that money physically so that he can go ahead and who knows what he would do with it. If it would truly be honoring by going to college and using it for what its intended purposes would be. I think that's where you have a segment of Redditors saying, yeah, you should at least help a section of that money and put it towards trying to help him get a second chance. And then there was the other half of Redditors who were saying, what is a second chance to you? Because for a lot of us, a second chance became a third chance, became a fourth chance, till it became a ninth chance. And all that it is just the family getting screwed over. How many chances is a second chance? I think actually reading the examples that a lot of Redditors put down, it truly gives me goosebumps. And to actually read it from our commenters' perspective, how not only have they tried to go out of their way to help their family members, but then to be screwed over by their family members is pretty sad and eye-opening. The fact that he wanted to honor his daughter and put that money that was intended for her into the charity of her choice is no strike against them. I think this was just a rough situation. Well, let's go ahead and leave this serious situation behind, and I think I gotta shave my legs. For our next story, am I the a-hole for suggesting to my friend that she should shave? My 29 female friend, let's call her Emily, 32 female, is an amazing person. She's fun, adventurous, intelligent, super active, a fantastic cook, outgoing, and just a great girl to be around. A few years ago, she decided not to shave anymore. Legs, armpits, female areas, out of protest to the patriarchy, resulting in her having very long dark hair everywhere. A few days ago, we were having a beer, and she told me how sad her dating life was. That she kept meeting guys and having very fun dates, but never got a call back, or when she tried asking for a second or third date, got rejected in a very generic manner. Now, after telling her, "You're so gorgeous and wonderful, the right man will come, don't worry," multiple times, I decided to go out on a limb and said something along the lines of, "I know this is a very superficial thing to say, but do you think it might help a little if you would shave?" She was very taken aback and told me she was disappointed I would suggest she change her appearance for men and that I was the reason so many women were suppressed. I immediately apologized, but the evening was pretty much ruined. I texted her the next day, apologizing again for hurting her, but she hasn't replied. I really did not want to hurt her, but I also don't quite see how my comment was that bad, so I am not sure how to phrase my apology. So I decided to take it here and ask people here how big of an a-hole I am. Am I the a-hole?
So let's unpack this smorgasbord of a story. So I guess this kind of goes into understanding when someone is venting to you, if they're simply venting to just get it off their chest, or if they're actually looking for your opinion. And as a human being, you need to learn how to decipher that code. There is a fine difference, because it does sound like ROP was coming from a good place, because I can only come at this story from my male point of view. Dating and growing up, when you're with your friends, they kind of tell you when you're striking out what it is they think you're doing wrong. Whether or not you take those opinions or suggestions is up to you. So a lot of people stopped shaving a couple years back. That's just how it was for a lot of people. People were staying home. You had to be indoors. Dating wasn't happening as much. So a lot of people got into that role. Like, if you told me to shave all the time to meet a certain appearance in public, I would not do that.
That's why you have facial hair.
Ba-boom. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, truly, I don't know if anyone's the a-hole in this scenario. ROP was just trying to give her friend, in her viewpoint, a better shot at getting a second date, I think is what she was trying anyway, in my opinion.
Yes.
I don't see that as being harmful. I understand, though, saying meeting a certain beauty standard and all of those things that come with it.
But then we come back to, what is beauty?
And that is subjective and up to every single person. And as a friend, if they give you that type of thing, you at least should be able to hear it and not look at it as an attack on you. And on the other hand, her friend is allowed to feel offended because that's what she believes. So my suggestion is let your friend collect herself and come back to you when she's ready. And just learn that when a conversation happens, figure out whether or not it's that they want your opinion or if they just want to vent. It'll save you a lot of pain as you get older.
The consensus was split between not the a-hole and you're the a-hole. A lot of it comes down to whether it's sort of forced advice and the other half being you're just trying to be a good friend and watch out. That's it. Now, we actually have an update.
Oh.
So let me go ahead and provide that over. Update. I am absolutely overwhelmed by the amount of reactions this got. Thank you all so much for your well-worded answers and for your inputs. Emily messaged me yesterday evening asking if we could talk about the whole thing, and we had a phone call. She started by apologizing for her reaction, and by the things she said to me. I told her that I wanted her to know that I and many others love her for who she is, and the last thing I wanted was to suggest that she change herself for a guy. Another important piece of advice I got here was to make sure she actually was asking for my opinion and not just venting. So I told her that I was very worried I had given her unsolicited advice. Thankfully, she didn't see it that way. She told me that I had always been a loyal friend who had her back, and she always had valued my advice, which was why she was so taken aback by my comment. I told her that what I should have said is that I feel like in the past she has been attracted to men who don't necessarily share her values, that she might need to be more clear with her dating choices and first make sure they align with her values to avoid being disappointed. She also agrees with this, and we really had a great conversation after that. Thanks again to you all for the insightful comments and for your help.
A fantastic update.
Yes. I think you can have whatever it is that you deem beautiful on your person. And you can also have that in a partner as long as you both are consenting to each other. I think it's all a matter of perspective. Do what you feel comfortable with, and you'll find a partner that's just right for you.
There's someone for everyone. Just got to make sure they have your same values.
Agreed. Well, let's go ahead and shift away from this conversation and let's go back to Disney for our last story. Am I the a-hole for saying no to dressing as a Disney princess for a wedding? So I, 24 female, am friends with Holly, 28 female, who is getting married next summer. Holly has always been a Disney girly, and I wasn't surprised when she told me and the other bridesmaids she wanted us to dress as Disney princesses. Holly is going to wear a huge, glittery, glammed-up ball gown and will be in dresses that are more of a modern take on the princesses' dresses, but there will be text on the invite stating which bridesmaid is which princess and which groom is which prince. There are 5 of us, and she wanted us each in a different color, so she has Ariel pink, Cinderella blue, Belle yellow, Rapunzel purple, and Tiana green. She picked who would be who for us and told me that she wants me as Tiana since I have black hair. The problem is, I'm white. The entire bridal party is white. You can see why I'm not feeling this choice. I brought it up privately with Holly and tried to suggest alternatives for green, Merida from Brave or Anna from Frozen, but she shot them down. Merida's dress is actually blue, plus she has no prince, and she doesn't like Frozen. I told Holly that I will not be Tiana for her wedding, and that I'm stepping down unless she accepts one of the alternatives or provides another. She called me a bitch and a terrible friend and said nobody is going to care. I told her that I care and I'm not doing it. I've gotten some Facebook messages from some of her family/friends asking why I'm being so difficult and why I'm trying to ruin Holly's wedding, and even a couple of the bridesmaids have told me to just suck it up because I'm throwing Holly's plan out of whack. I'm standing my ground on this, but the pushback kind of has me wondering if I'm making something out of nothing. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Bride only asked me to get a tan. Nowhere did I comment saying she asked everyone. Even if I had done so and deleted the comment, someone in this thread would still be able to find it, or at least the deleted marker in one of the comment threads. Am I the a-hole?
Well, let's hop in the TARDIS and go on an adventure.
Oh, I can't wait.
So, I am a little split about this because on the surface, it sounds harmless. This is someone's wedding you're going to. You're a bridesmaid. She wants you to dress up in a Disney princess outfit that she's picking for you. Character assigned.
And it's because there's a prince that's to match it.
Yes. It's her friend's wedding. She's allowed to do what she wants with it. What makes it weird here is that the OP says she's chosen for Tiana, but she's white.
She just has black hair.
But the thing that really is interesting is her friend wanted her to tan her skin.
Yeah, that gets a little weird in my opinion and makes me uncomfortable.
And see, that's where the story kind of takes a turn, because I thought it was just, hey, look, these are the Disney characters I really want you to play as. They're fictional characters. What does it matter that you don't look exactly like them in any way? You're just putting on the colors that were associated with them. This is how it sounds anyway.
Correct.
But you take it a step further when you're telling her to tan her skin for it. What? I'm not understanding. Are you trying for her to get into the look as much as possible?
That's where it gets uncomfortable.
And that's where I'm coming from. And feeling uncomfortable in that situation, I can 100% understand. So in my opinion, you're not the a-hole OP.
So, the consensus was honestly pretty split from what I could see. You had individuals who were saying you're the a-hole simply because it's just a dress. This is no different than if somebody were to dress up as the Black Panther. You don't expect for them to do something as rude as, heaven forbid, ever do blackface. This is just you wearing a dress to represent that princess. That snippet, when it came to the tanning, was only added within the comment section before she added it to her post.
Okay.
I have to say, I don't have an issue. I think Tiana is an amazing princess. Now, to take it and to essentially say that you're, and mind you, this is just from her original post, to essentially say that you're uncomfortable because the princess was a person of color, rankled my feathers as being racist. You should enjoy being that character because the story is amazing that they crafted for Tiana as a princess. I don't think it truly gets as much credence as it should when it comes to the rank of Disney princesses. See, I don't know if she had this opinion before she was requested to get tanned or after. That's where I feel like things get a little janky on my end in trying to understand this whole situation. Because if, let's say the bride says, I'd like for you to wear the dress of Tiana and I need for you to get a tan to get darker. Hell no, that's wrong.
Yes.
100% wrong. But if you're asked to, and see, that's the only way that I can imagine this whole situation happening. But when I turn around and then you hear where she, in her original post, she mentioned nothing about tanning. It was strictly about just the dress. She only added in the comment section and then updated as an edit in the post. Of course, this would hit everybody wrong if you would have put that in your original post.
Yes.
So why was it not there to begin with? Mind you, this is only what would make sense to me. This should have been, first and foremost, the issue. Not because the character that was chosen for you was a character of color that was in a Disney movie. And that's where I don't know how to feel about this myself.
But I think having to modify yourself to match a fictitious character,
that's where the line is crossed into being disrespectful.
little too much. Well, at the end of the day, she is allowed to have her wedding the way she wants, but I can side with ROP because that makes me uncomfortable thinking about someone having to tan themselves to the point where they represent a character in a fictitious world so that way they can be your bridesmaid. That's uncomfortable.
Well, let me go ahead and provide you 2 edits that she actually put into her post. Our poster says, edit 2, woke up to the post locked and a lot of hate in my inbox. So that's fun. Awaiting a judgment flare because there are too many comments going both ways for me to know what the majority here ruled. But I got some good advice thanks to everyone. Edit 3. The not the a-holes and no a-holes here votes took the majority despite the flare, and the not the a-hole comments were far more concise and logical, so I feel confident in decision here, and that I was not an a-hole. I have also set up an AMA for anyone who still has questions since this post is now locked. Thank you to everyone who gave me good advice and sent love to my inbox. Also, in case it isn't clear to the plethora of users who continue to recommend alternatives, I bowed out of the wedding after Holly called me a bitch, and I will not be making attempts to rejoin. At this point, I no longer consider Holly a friend, and I doubt she still considers me one. And I think for me, that's what stems into the not the a-hole part. Holly became disrespectful.
Yeah.
And rather than telling her to bow out, she called her a because our OP bowed out. And I think that's wrong.
Called her that just because she refused to do something that made her uncomfortable. I don't think that's appropriate.
In the end, if you don't feel comfortable with it, regardless of the reasons, don't do it.
End of story. Well, was that our last story?
That was our last story.
You had some really good ones today. Well, as our stories come to a close, don't forget, you've seen the world what you carry in your heart.
If you have enjoyed listening to us read and talk about today's stories, please rate, subscribe, or follow and turn on notifications for new content. We regularly post on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We also give our warmest thanks to all of our patrons for your support.
Yes, love every single one of y'all. As always, listeners, we look forward to hearing your opinions in the comments below. What did you think about the stories today?
Especially the Disney princess one.
That'll be an interesting one.
It will be.
And remember, if you post it, maybe we'll see it on the internet.